Yo, peace. What up? What up? What up? $50. You already know. Listen. Yo, everything is live right now. Everything is live. This is not no regular recording. This is you. You know what I mean? It's like as if we sitting in the same room, or you see me the same way I appear. Yo, listen. This mental health thing is crazy in this district. Like I'm driving down the street, right? I'm driving down the street. They pull me over and say, listen, you got to go to the hospital. I said, what else got to go to the hospital for? You got to go to the hospital. You got to be diagnosed. You got to be examined by a mental health psychiatrist. So I'm like, I got to be diagnosed, examined. You know what I mean? I'm driving down the street. So listen. So they take me to a hospital, get diagnosed as normal, right? I get diagnosed as normal. After I went through this experience a number of times, they started redirecting me in a way that, you know what I mean? Like it was more and more like something was wrong with my way of thinking or something. They just kept putting me in, and you know how they have the movies where they bust out your tail lights? One of them situations, but you know what I mean? The town using that type of approach to grab people and to be your word against their word. You get to court and it'd be like the judge don't see what you saying. The judge only see what the officer's saying. So, but I never saw an officer based on the officer saying something was wrong with me. It was like he did that one time, then he did it the next time, then he did it the next time. Then I ended up in a mental ward. You know what I mean? It was crazy like that. I never argued like what the officer was saying I did or something. It was always like, and he just started a chain of events that led to, bust your tail light, and then, you try and explain it somewhere else in time. You know what I'm saying? So listen, I feel like they trying to set me up. You know what I'm saying? You see my live streams. My live streams are like, when I went to the store. I caught a ride. They give me transportation because I don't have my transportation in its proper context. So they give me transportation. But it was like, you know what I mean? Things were set up a certain way. Like I could have picked something up that didn't belong to me or something like that. And they would have knew the difference because they checked it before, before the fact and stuff like that. It looked like something like that was in front of me. So, not knowing whether it was in front of me now, I'm making this live stream. You know what I mean? My information is precise enough that if I see a situation escalate into something else, I just say, listen, I'll make this live stream, and this live stream says, what it is, as opposed to, what they tampering with. It appears to be somebody tampering with, information and making it look accessible to the point of, it being a crime, like some type of entrapment to do something else. Now, listen, my consistency with these extremes are always present. You know what I mean? Now, if I show you exactly what I'm dealing with, when you see me say HP, when you see me say HP, it's one thing. But listen. When you see me say HP, it's one thing. But when I take an HP, when I purchase the HP computer that I'm working on now, it's the same HP box that this came in. Now, when you see this HP box, it got the August calendar, it got summer, fall, winter, spring, it's got Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Novavax. It's got my name, my address. It's got my phone numbers, all of my phone numbers, my social security number. I'm not playing no games with no mental health people saying there's something wrong with me. This is a new purchase computer. You know what I'm saying? This is a new computer. They saying there's something wrong with me. All right, if there's something wrong with me, then You know what I mean? The medication I should be taking should be as accurate as this in a actual computer. This computer I'm broadcasting off of is the same computer that came in this box. So the story is starting to unfold. You know what I'm saying? As the story is starting to unfold, where I was pulled over and the police officer busted out my taillight and said I need to go to the mental health. You know what I'm saying? And in this small town, that's normal. They probably, I don't know how many people they got over with that practice. They didn't bust out my taillight, but that same practice, with Tim Kaine and them. Tim Kaine run this locality. He's in charge of his locality. He's in charge of the political environment of this locality. You can tell what's real and what's not real based on the content of my character. When I'm talking about my name and social security number, it's 4 Seasons, Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Novavax on the same computer box that I made that I'm making this broadcast on, along with my address, phone number, social security number. It gets intricate. Like, you can't just accuse somebody of doing something and they really didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? I see you saying it's your word against their word, and you kill a person and they never can prove what you did. I'm saying they didn't do what I didn't do what they said I did. They didn't accuse me of nothing. They didn't say I did nothing. They just said I need to go to mental health, because there's something wrong with me. In traffic. And it wasn't like I was blowing my horn or nothing like that. I wasn't blowing my horn, zigzagging down the street, nothing like that. It just like had some telepathic way of knowing who I was in the car, got me out of the car and said, we need to take you to the hospital. So listen, that's neither here nor there. Reason I brought that up was restoring my driving privileges and channel cars and changing districts, all that's like in the same place. I'm trying not to make it transfer in the same time, but I don't know if the lawyer's going to get it all cleared up. See, I paid the North Carolina. I had a ticket for speeding in North Carolina. I had a ticket in New Jersey for turning on a red light. When I turned on the red light, they subsequently found a gun in the car. When they found the gun in the car, I served the time. Anything that I was accused of at the time, I served the time. So when the time passed and I tried to get my driving license back, I took the driving test and I passed the test. You know what I mean? I passed the test. But what they didn't tell me is that after I passed the test, that they was going to show up from these different towns that pulled me over before I lost my license. I don't even know. I might have had a suspended license for not paying a decal, not having a sticker or something like that. I didn't have no speeding tickets or nothing like that. It was just something minor, like, a ticket. I needed to take driver improvement. I took driver improvement. It wasn't no driver-related incident that I had. It wasn't speeding or nothing. They might have found something in the car or something like that. I don't know exactly. I don't remember exactly what it was because they keep coming up with all these different scenarios saying I'm committing all these crimes, and I'm not committing no crimes. So listen, anyway, what my point is, in transition of channel cars, changing districts, and driving privileges, I got everything like kind of, floating around, like not floating around, but I paid North Carolina reinstatement fee for my driver's privileges. I paid that. That's paid. Now I need a letter from North Carolina saying I paid the reinstatement fee. Now I can deal with that, but I haven't done it yet. Now New Jersey had an outstanding ticket for turning on the red light. When I tried to address that, I scheduled a video arraignment, a video hearing by Zoom, on Zoom. They told me to schedule an appointment through the courts. When I scheduled it through the courts, they never responded. New Jersey just never responded to my request. So I don't want to do it again and then lose track of what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? You know how you send a email, and then you send another email saying something else, then you send another email saying something else, and you know the person might not respond until they get the third email, and you don't know what email they responded to by the time something like that going on. So I only sent one request, and the request gave me a receipt in PDF format. The format was PDF, and when the format was PDF, I still got the receipt of requesting the recording parents by video because of the pandemic. They're doing everything by video. So saying that to say, I'm trying to resolve the issue, but they like lingering and on until I get to another district and all that's going on. I can't say they doing it because of that, but it's starting to transfer into everything else that I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Like you might not even believe I'm doing a channel call, but you know, based on my consistency, you can see I don't have transportation. I do videos with Bugatti. I do videos with Koenigsegg. I do videos with Pagani. You know what I mean? I do videos with Ferrari, Lamborghini, Mercedes-Benz, BMW. You know, all types of exotic extremes, and I'm trying to sort out whatever the difference would be in sales, and because all my information is recorded, everything I'm doing recorded. This is like a recorded conversation, even though it's a live stream. Somebody's watching this conversation that I'm transferring to the extent that, you know, that's too much information transferring for it not to be, somebody else is watching this video. Somebody's watching this live stream to the extent, that's how I feel about it, because the information that's transferring and not transferring is extremely, you know, even whether they admit that they following the information or not, it's neither here nor there. But you know, saying that to say, listen, I made reports that the information's out of place. So you know, as far as somebody investigating it and you know things like that, all I would say is this live stream is, you know, I made sure the lighting was a little better. I enhanced the environment. I got the a current update on the calendar. That's today's date. You know what I'm saying? And you know, they doing some updates on the vaccine. To change the subject, they're doing some updates on the vaccine where they saying Pfizer is going to implement taking the vaccine for a third time instead of this just 2 times for the Delta strain, for the new strain of a virus. So they're going to start, you know, trying to get people to take it 3 times. The president is talking about implementing $100 for everybody to take the vaccine. You know, it's just some talks about it, and you don't know if it's real or not. But you know, taking a vaccine is one thing, but wearing your mask after you take the vaccine is another. When they reported that people was catching the virus after getting vaccinated, this was a strong point that I was making before everybody stopped wearing their mask, because the president told everybody that they didn't have to wear a mask if they were vaccinated. Now it's a situation where it's still spreading. You know, COVID-19 has only been in circulation a year. Now the vaccine has only been in circulation a few months out of the year. So to say, you know, nobody needs to wear a mask, it's like once the patient count pile up in the hospitals, it's like, how you gonna tell people not to wear a mask when the people in the hospital are in the hospital now? Some people never left the hospital. So when some people never left the hospital and you got new patients that caught the virus after they got vaccinated, it's getting crazier and crazier. You can't tell them not to wear a mask. Everybody need to wear a mask. If you're going in front of large crowds, wear a mask. If you go in closed rooms like you know, offices and stuff like that, wear a mask. Don't be all up in people's face like you don't have to worry about it no more, because as soon as you get sick, you go to the hospital and the hospital flooded. You don't want to go to the hospital and the hospital be flooded. You know what I mean? So see it the way it appears. Don't see it like, it's like some type of game that you go to the hospital and just get treated, get vaccine. The vaccine is only for preventing catching COVID-19. It's not for once you catch it and taking the vaccine and you get better. It's not for that. They got other medications for that, Regeneron, things like that you take in the event of catching COVID-19. You catch COVID-19, you don't take the vaccine that they distribute into everybody. The vaccine that they're distributing to everybody is to prevent from catching COVID-19. That's the difference. The difference of medication that you take for COVID-19 is at the hospital. But if you catch COVID-19 and you go to the hospital, you can't get the medication that they got at the hospital because it's overcrowded, it's overflooded. It's flooded with patients. You see what I'm saying now? You don't get the vaccine that they got readily available for after you catch COVID-19. You get the medication that they have for COVID-19 once you catch it. It attacks your lungs. It stops you from breathing well. So something that stops you from breathing well and you have to go to the hospital for it, don't play around with nothing like that to stop you from breathing. You know what I mean? You got to depend on the hospital completely. And, they don't have enough ventilators and stuff like that. You're in danger right now. When I'm explaining to you, you're in danger because you don't believe, you either been misinformed or you don't believe that it's that real because nobody appears to be complaining about it. But I'm not going to tell you that they just, throwing people in the garbage, once they can't help no more. I'm going to tell you that the hospitals are flooded and you don't need to get sick because you're not going to be able to get treated. I'm not going to tell you nothing different. When you go through this experience of not being able to get treated and dying, it only happens one time. It only happens one time. You ain't no coming back. You make a mistake and put your hands on your mouth after you touch a patient that's walking around normally, like somebody have COVID-19, you shake their hand and then you touch their mouth, you catch COVID-19 like that. Believe it or not, you don't believe it, you can shake somebody's hand and put your hand on your mouth and catch COVID-19. Believe it or not. And when you catch COVID-19, just because you've been vaccinated doesn't change anything. When you get vaccinated and touch your hands on your mouth, you catch COVID-19 the same way as if you wasn't vaccinated. It's crazy. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not making it up. People are dying right now because they thought because they were vaccinated, they didn't have to worry about nothing. That's not what's going on. They catching COVID-19 and dying right now with the vaccine. Believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? Don't die, when all those other people died. Stay alive and know all those people died and people are dying right now after being vaccinated. It's not no game. You know what I mean? You got to take it seriously. If you see people dying after they've been vaccinated, do not play. They're not going to tell you exactly what's going on in the media. The media is going to hype it up like the vaccine is just making you sick. You know what I mean? The COVID-19 is just making you sick. It's not that bad once you get vaccinated and catch the new strain. You don't get as sick. You go to the hospital and can't get treated, it inflames into something else as opposed to what you initially went to the hospital for. That's how it always happens. You go to the hospital for a fever, and fever turns into pneumonia. Pneumonia turns into all these other medications, and you have to keeping up with the information changing into something else. But that's when the hospital's treating you. When the hospital can't treat you, the information just kills you. Don't believe that it only makes you a little bit sick. It doesn't only make you a little bit sick. It changes to something else over and over again, to pneumonia, to killing you, and you be actually dead. Don't think you're not going to die, from touching your mouth after you shake somebody's hand. Don't think that. Think that somebody got COVID-19 and you can't tell they got it, and you're not going to shake their hand and touch your mouth. Think that. You know what I mean? Think like that. If you don't think like that, then you're going to be just wide open for catching COVID-19. That's the reality of it. But anyway, listen, without saying touching your hands on the mouth, that's just an example of what I'm saying. People don't believe that it's that real. It could be, COVID-19 could spread in West Virginia and not spread in Richmond. COVID-19 could spread in New York and not spread in Ohio, so on and so forth. So don't be comfortable with COVID-19 not showing up the same way in your town, where COVID-19, the hospitals could be flooded and they not even put on the news that the hospitals are flooded. Anything can be wrong. Like, don't think that, they don't have corruption. If they got corruption normally and the vaccine strikes, don't think that the corruption is going to eliminate, don't think COVID-19 spreading across America is going to eliminate corruption. Corruption is always going to be present. So if you got corruption alone, don't think that corruption won't just kill you. Somebody just say, well, don't tell them that. Just let them get sick if they don't believe it. You don't think that's real. You know what I'm saying? That's how real it is. It's people walking around saying, set people up and do things to you and things like that. That's why I brought it to your attention, where I feel like somebody tried to set me up earlier, where something was in front of me that like somebody was suggesting, like something was in a car that I was riding in that, would not normally be in there, but it was in there in a way like, I could have easily, been a victim of it being where it was. You know what I'm saying? And saying that to say, if I'm in captivity in this mental health situation and I inflame the situation, and it's inflamed before it's right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if it's right or not. You know what I'm saying? Based on getting out of the situation, if I inflame the situation, I could be around crazy people. I don't know who I'm around that's saying I'm in traffic and you know what I mean, and I need to be diagnosed. Then once I'm diagnosed as normal, then I go through these chain of events that draws me into some mental health environment. Now I'm taking medication. It's crazy. Like, I know it sounds preposterous, but this is a small town. This is where slavery began. Believe it or not. Don't go through being on the highway in this town and they pulling you over and say you need to go to the mental health, and you pull out a gun and say you're not going. Know what they do in a small town before you even get here. Tim Kaine, is in charge of running the operation that they running. That's what's going on in this town. When he attempted to run for office as vice president after Hillary Clinton nominated him as a running mate, they was going to attempt to have this introduced as normal, this practice of pulling people over and taking them to a mental institution or a mental hospital. They was going to have this as normal. Obviously, they was obviously going to do that. But when he wasn't elected, it went another way. So listen, I'm not doing an album right now, but I just did a track. Konachek, all new Konachek by Dolla50. It's a Konachek CC GT. the all new Koenigsegg CC GT. You can see it on Twitter. It's on Twitter. Check it out. Yo, but most importantly, click on the link in the description. Listen to Weed Legal and see what the mindset was of the information that transfers through Weed Legal. Because when you see me complaining about these redirections, you can just imagine none of this, all this going on, right? I go to Times Square, introduce my music to Puffy. I didn't have music initially. He said, put some music together and, and come over here. So I put some music together and went over there, and he didn't respond. So what happened was, after he didn't respond long enough, the same extremes that were transferring in my music, I didn't say exactly where I was. I just said the government. I said the Confederacy. I spoke of different situations, but I didn't pinpoint exactly where I was. So maybe he was under the impression like people were after me, and I just showed up in front of him. But he told me to come over there, so it couldn't have been it. Because he obviously told me to come to him for music, for business. So I went to him for business. It was right after the Biggie and Tupac incident, and things weren't going too well around that time in hip hop. Hip hop had slowed down. People had got riled up about the incident with Tupac and Biggie, and since the time that I introduced my music, a lot of people died. And it wasn't because of my music. It wasn't that. But if my music could have prevented anybody from dying, it's certainly like I'm consistent with safety and OSHA and things like that. So my information might have transferred differently as opposed to being redirected in this situation. This situation where they have information in place when I go to the store and I put my bags away and there's something that I can put in my bag near me, like suggesting that I just easily put something in my bag. It's things like that going on in this locality. I'm telling you, it's some crazy information transferring, and you can't trace it because if you putting your bags in the trunk and taking your bags out of the trunk, you see something in the trunk that's not in your bag, but the power of suggestion is like, like this live stream, like the same way Puffy told me to come to Times Square and do business with him, the same way I'm doing this broadcast, the same way, if information was in a car or near my bags or in a way that, somebody could just easily say, well, put that in there, hypothetically, not actually say it, but put something in place in a way that, suggests that. That's what I'm trying to say. Like somebody putting a wallet somewhere, not saying, steal their wallet, but putting it somewhere like in a trunk, putting their wallet in a trunk and knowing you get ready to go to the store, or, it's things like that. Something like that happened to me, and I didn't ignore it. That's why I'm making this live stream and not letting it go. I'm just saying, something funny like that transferring, you know what I'm saying? You won't just use the power of suggestion on me, and I'm not going to explain some type of detail of what you're doing so you can familiarize yourself. This is a preventive measure. This is not, actually saying something so there's be some real result behind. This is like preventive, so you don't go through these type of extremes. Like, don't let nobody set you up when everything looks like a hip hop headquarters, when everything looks like the vaccine process. Like right now, I'm seeking funding through Congress, through the government for establishing a vaccine distribution process. My vaccine distribution process is on the link in the description. When you click on the link in the description, you'll see the information on the gavel plaque, and the chemistry that I composed myself to distribute the vaccine. When you see that, it's the only place that the chemistry exists. I didn't put it anywhere else, and I didn't show anybody the gavel plaque within reason. I showed one person the gavel plaque. I showed the gavel plaque. What I did was I showed the gavel plaque to one person before I got the work done. That's what I did. I did show it to one person. I showed it to one person before I got the work done, and I never showed it to anybody else after I got the work done. That's what I did. And when I did that, the only place that the gavel plaque was seen, it doesn't even have to be the same gavel plaque realistically that I showed the person before I got it changed over to something else. I'm just saying to you, I showed the gavel plaque to somebody one time, and that was it. And when I changed it over, it's a different gavel plaque. They could have changed gavels on me or anything based on, the reality of the gavel plaque not being in my possession and me getting it back. And you go to the link in the description. That's the gavel plaque that I currently secured, stashed away. I stashed that gavel plaque away. That's the one on the link in the description. If you take a look at it, it has a sequence on it. The sequence is it's a delicate sequence. What I did was, when I showed the person the gavel plaque, I had the list that's on the plaque that I have now. That's the same list that you see at the link in the description. I had on a sheet of paper. When I had the list on the sheet of paper, I got a copy made of it. I have the original and I have the copy. What I did was I gave a copy to the person changing the faceplate, and I kept the copy. So I knew exactly what I was supposed to get on the gavel plaque. It should have been in no less of a place than what was on the sheet of paper. But before I went and got it done, I showed the person the plaque, showed them what I was doing, and I got a copy made of a sheet of paper of the order of the process I was establishing. So somebody have some type of record of what's going on other than myself. It may be dangerous to say that somebody saw what I saw, but as opposed to me just saying I'm the only one that saw it, maybe it'll bring people to the light, as opposed to believing that I'm the only one that they're dealing with. It's more people involved. Once that information got to the Xerox machine and it transferred that way, it's more people. The government could easily access that information and be watching what's going on. And just in case you thought, I was the only one who generated the information and the only one who had access to that level of information. I wasn't the only one. What happened is, when that level of information didn't change, when they didn't give me funding, then I don't know what I'm up against. You know what I'm saying? Like, they could be trying to, steal a plaque. Anything could be going on. I'm just saying, hypothetically, when you in that situation, you have to make wise decisions based on, not wanting to make no mistakes. I didn't want to make no mistakes. So I showed the person, first I got a copy made of what I was getting printed on the faceplate. Then I showed the person the plaque that had GoDaddy on it. It had GoDaddy, the website, Vaccine 911 Realty.com or something like that. It had that website name on there, and I changed that. I closed that website down because I started seeing commercials and stuff about GoDaddy where I wasn't seeing GoDaddy commercials initially, and then after I moved the gavel plaque, I didn't see no more commercials with GoDaddy. So just not saying it's one way or other, just saying, it sounded outside of my intentions. My intentions was not to go outside of the direction of the process I was establishing on the Gallup. So when I went outside of the process with GoDaddy, not being in the same place. Like I'm with a website now, but the website is not showing up when I advertise the Gallup. When I advertise the Gallup, the website is not showing up on TV. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference of what I'm saying. The process that I've established on the Gallup, only the process is showing up, and nothing is showing up on commercials or nothing like that based on the chemistry I compose. Like I don't see no Luxor hotel commercials all of a sudden. You know what I'm saying? Like things are not transferring outside of what I'm doing. So listen, what I want to do is I'm going to try and get my channel card. I'm going to try and change districts. I'm going to try and restore my driving privileges all at the same time if possible. And if not at the same time, in a way that I'm not going to just wait around for my driving privileges to be restored unnecessarily. I'll fix that whenever I fix it. I prefer not to drive realistically within reason of what I'm doing. I'm establishing my process of distribution of vaccines in the mainstream, and I don't need no distractions. I could use a limousine driver. I could use some type of chauffeur to drive me around. I don't need to be driving realistically, but I will drive before I won't drive with a driver's license, insurance, registration, decals, with all my information I would need that would be necessary to drive. I wouldn't do anything less. I wouldn't drive an unlicensed vehicle, unregistered vehicle, a vehicle with a busted taillight, a vehicle with contraband in it. Nothing that would bring the attention to me in the wrong way, because that's what hip hop is always known for, something happening that's outside of what you're actually doing. Like you can be having a new music deal and they say they found drugs in the car. Then you got to get bailed out. You're in jail for a year or 2 years. That's not what I'm doing, and I don't expect none of that to come around me. You know what I'm saying? I've been through things like that, and proving yourself innocent is another story. You know what I'm saying? Here's a situation here that I'm explaining to you. I was pulled over some time ago in New Jersey for being the passenger in the vehicle, and the vehicle was traveling across the George Washington Bridge. When the vehicle was traveling across the George Washington Bridge, it was traveling 55 miles per hour. I'll never forget it. I looked at the speedometer. When I saw the flashing lights for the cop cars, I looked at the speedometer. It said 55. So now the vehicle was traveling south on the George Washington Bridge, on the turnpike, George Washington Bridge, but they call that the turnpike. So they pulled the car over and said, with driver's license, registration, they asked them for the driver for the routine. It was late at night. It was like 2 a.m. or something like that. Asked the driver for the registration and insurance information that was based on driving the car. And after asking them questions, didn't give him a ticket immediately. Said, "Do you mind stepping out of the car?" And he's going to search the car. So I was like, that sounds crazy to pull somebody over at 55 miles per hour, 2 a.m, saying, you want to search the car, as opposed to just giving them a ticket for speeding like they like to pull them over for. If you say it's the person was speeding, then give them a ticket for speeding. This is an argument right now on the turnpike all across America. They're pulling people's cars over and telling them anything and searching their car. And then when they find something, saying, "Look what I found," to the judge in court. "Look what I found. He had this in his car, a gun, some drugs." And, the K9 unit, they come up with all types of ways of breaking into your Fourth Amendment rights to the United States Constitution. And The only way you can protect this right is making a live stream and saying, look, they violating people's rights. You can't violate people's rights by pulling them over at 55 miles per hour and it be their word against yours. You know, you be the officer, they be the United States citizen, and they have to prove themselves all the way out throughout the experience. So, you know, not wanting to be victim of these extremes. You know, I'm just trying not to even be in a situation realistically of driving, being in a car and not having a chauffeur, not having a driver, not having you know, the transportation and usual context. I'm making every effort to correct my license. I'm making every effort to change districts. I'm not changing districts without certain things aligning. You know what I mean? Certain things need to make sense. Like, when I'm trying to get the channel call, it needs to make sense with me changing districts. When I'm trying to change districts, it needs to make sense with because I have to, in order to change districts, I could change right now. I could change districts and be in no less of a place than what I am now. It's starting to make that type of sense. I could, like, based on I got HUD information in place. I got different information in place that if I chose to be somewhere else, I could be anywhere. I could be anywhere with the level of information that I'm depending on now. And it's no excuse to be in this situation. It's no excuse. It's really, I have a situation present where, you know, the immediate people around me is in a certain level, but you wouldn't want to take no unnecessary chances changing districts as opposed to I'm not comfortable. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be comfortable in this situation, but I wouldn't change districts just playing around. I would make sure I was as precise as the situation appears. So I could change districts right now. I have HUD anywhere. You know what I mean? I could have HUD anywhere. But if I was going to change districts, why would I have HUD? If I was going to change districts, why would I have Social Security? I have to change all my information around based on, you know, my information service and funding. That's going to be in the $1 trillion range. They're going to show up with $1 trillion, and not realistically, but you know, that's the type of money they play with it in the government. When I say I need funding, they afforded Moderna funding, they afforded Johnson & Johnson funding, they afforded Pfizer funding, they afforded FedEx, UPS, United States Post Service. They gave all of the money for distribution, for manufacturing and distribution of the vaccine. Right now, you can pretty much say I'm manufacturing a vaccine. When I show up with an HP box carton with the hands of time on it, the hands of time, every hour around the clock to circle, every hour. This is the August calendar. This is August. This is not yet present yet. This is my name, address, social security number, phone number. This is all my information. This is the 4 seasons. This is you know, Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Novavax. This information just in a place like this on a live stream is certainly manufacturing. I'm generating a vaccine as opposed to I'm generating an extremely accurate, precise vaccine chemistry. It's one thing to have the chemistry, but when you have a combination of information like HP laptop, and you generate a certain level of information through the laptop, through the box, through everything about the computer, what you do is you generate a vaccine. You know, you generate distribution. You generate a certain level of, you know, everything goes in a certain direction, but with a precision. You know, you have your social security number, your date of birth, your address, everything, your age, everything be on the computer. Everything on the computer, same way it's on live stream with Xfinity. This live stream with Xfinity, is with cable, with Xfinity. So when you got all this going through the computer, all of the computer information going through Xfinity, it's crazy. Like everything is that extreme. So when you see me generate that level of information consistent with everything being geared through Infinity, it's going straight through the lens of this camera. You know what I'm saying? When you see me show you that information on HP information, it's going straight through the lens, like straight through Xfinity, straight through HP, straight through Microsoft, everything going straight through. You know what I'm saying? And that's crazy, you know what I mean? Because I'm making progress. Every step of the way, I'm making progress. Now, imagine me doing that all summer long. You know what I'm saying? Yo, peace, $1.50. You already know. Click on the link in the description. Listen to Weed Legal again. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to make a purchase. Make a purchase and make a purchase. And if you don't make a purchase, make a donation. You know what I mean? Make a donation. You can make a minimum donation of $1. Make sure you respond to my request to make a donation and show up, on Twitter. You know what I mean? Support my movement. You know what I mean? Show up with a like, subscribe. Make sure you be active in this environment of live streams. You know what I'm saying? $1.50 International. Subscribe. You know what I mean? Throw your likes up there. $1.50 International by $1.50. Peace. $1.50.